Thank you for the presentation. I'm not going to speak French this time because I did my best the last time, so I want to leave you with the good man image of my French. Well, for which graph does size matter? We have a lot of options, but size really just matters for hamstrings. In my personal cases, the four-fold hamstrings are 7 millimeters or less in around 10% of the cases, so this is not a small number. In Brazil, there's an anecdotal saying that everyone gets the graft they deserve, but this is completely wrong. This is just used to justify small grafts that will probably fail. As a general rule, the larger the graft, the better. However, each ACL reconstruction must have individualized graft size. So a lot of speakers talk about that early in this event. And, you know, for one graft size, we can't just put the same size in other people like Vitor and me. You know, this is completely different for ACL reconstruction. And thicker grafts in our study, in this study, considering patients with hyperextension, were related to loss of extension. So we have to be careful with that. There are plenty of literature showing that grafts smaller than 8 are associated with a higher risk of failure, especially in young patients. And also more recent studies showing that smaller grafts are associated with an increased risk for revision. So what can we do to solve this problem? One option is to fold the graft more times. We can do that a 5-folded or 6-folded graft, but even folding the grafts in 5 or 6, you still can have a graft that's less than 8. Another possibility is to use an allograft to increase the graft diameter, but this is associated with 2.6 times more failures with hybrid grafts. Another possibility is to use a synthetic reinforcement, but we need more studies to show if it will work or not. And another possibility, another option, is to add an anterolateral procedure. Why that? From the biomechanics, we know that when we use an anterolateral procedure, we divide the forces, so we decrease the graft forces by around 40%, and this is not a new thing. We know that for a long while. So we have less forces in the ACL, and maybe in this situation, the graft diameter is not so important. We saw the classic technique developed by Marcacci and Zanfanini in Bologna, and they used just a double hamstrings, and certainly, this double hamstrings, the interarticular graft, is often less than 7. And they have like very good results after a minimum 20-year follow-up. So we were thinking about that, and we did this study. We compared the ACL with grafts of 7 millimeters or less, 7 or 6 millimeters. And we compared, we did the combined ACL and anterolateral ligament reconstruction, and we compared with the isolated ACL reconstruction with grafts of more than 8. We know that for the regular graft size, the addition of an anterolateral procedure improves the results. So we did a propensity match, one case for less 7 or less compared with 2 cases for 8 or more. The mean graft diameter for the hamstring ALL group was 6.8 millimeters, and the mean graft diameter for the isolated ACL was 8.6. And we found that there were no differences in any of the metrics used, failure rates, physical examinations, and also prones and complications. So we are now doing a very large series. This study is ongoing. Jean-Marie, we are doing together, trying to check if this 7 millimeter diameter works equal for combined ACL and ALL, or if this only works for isolated ACL reconstruction. Of course, I showed earlier for you that we have other possibilities, other graft possibilities now, even for augmentation. We are using a lot the peroneus for augmentation. We just take the anterior half of the peroneus, so this is you don't cause much damage to the ankle because the tendon is still attached. Then you can augment your graft and you can increase your graft diameter by doing that. So as a take-home message, I think we need to transpose the menu a la carte the Lyon created for the patellofemoral reconstruction also for the ACL. The ACL must be individualized, not the same graft or not the same technique will work for every patient, and we should also create the menu a la carte for ACL reconstruction. So as a take-home message, graft size should not be neglected. There are several possibilities to make the graft thicker. The size value should not be the same for all patients. We have to have this in mind. And in case of associated S-articular reconstruction, the 7 mm cutoff value you use for isolated ACL may not be adequate. Merci beaucoup.